I'm going to start with a bit of a question, if that's okay, a bit of an audience participation. Move away from that microphone. I'm just going to ask you one question, which is, why do your people leave? Caleb, what you got at your end? Why do people leave? Shout out some answers. Lack of engagement, thank you. Lack of opportunities, okay. Anything else? Okay, not the right cultural fit. Okay, so we've got quite a few different answers. I just want to hold it there for a second. We're going to hopefully revisit this shortly, but just want you to think about some of the answers we came up with there. So let's get up and running. Just quick intros. My name's Paul Westlake. I'm a solutions consultant at City & Guilds Kineo, and I'm going to almost be sort of chairing the presentation, if you like. So I'm very fortunate to have two industry experts with me today that are going to do the majority of the talking, which is great for me and probably puts them under pressure. So I'm joined by Caleb Foster. Caleb?
Hello, I'm Caleb Foster. I'm Head of Learning Technologies at Compass Group. For those of you that are not familiar with Compass Group, we're the world's largest catering and support services provider, operating in over 50 countries. In the UK alone, we employ 60,000 permanent colleagues, 35,000 casual colleagues. We're operating out of 10,000 locations. 8 businesses make up Compass Group in the UK. Essentially, multi-business, multi-site, diverse workforce, really.
Okay. And we're also going to be joined by Chris Robinson. Chris, do you want to do a quick intro for yourself?
Hello there. I was the guy who didn't get an earpiece microphone, so I've got this chap. Yeah, my name's Chris Robinson. I'm founder and managing director of a company called Boost. And part of what we do is evaluation. We've got Boost Evaluation. We employ 20 people. We help people measure and get awards for their success.
Thank you very much. Now, unfortunately, I did get a headphone microphone. I think I prefer your one, but we'll stick with what we've got.
I'm louder.
You know who we are. I think more importantly, this is probably the question, which is why are you here? And more importantly, what's in it for you to give up the next sort of 25, 30 minutes to listen to us? And I think to answer that question, you know, we've seen numerous reports where we've identified that there's a skills shortage. We know that our people need to be better trained. And yet, as industries, we also know that people tend to sort of leave, if you like, in some ways quickly before they actually finish their training. So one of the things we've identified is how are we actually going to get around that? How do we make sure that our people are engaged and want to stay with us, make sure they're properly trained, and ultimately what we're trying to do is reduce attrition, and that's what we hope to do. So just to give you some figures, I asked you a question a minute ago about why do people leave. Chris and the team at Boost asked exactly that question to 220 industry leaders and basically asked those business leaders, why do your people leave? And believe it or not, one of the number one things that came out from those leaders was people leave because they're tempted to go and work for other companies. They're pulled by other companies, they're offered better deals, they're offered better, maybe whatever it may be, better salaries. And that's what the industry leaders were saying is the reason people leave. They then asked the same question to the learners themselves or the employees themselves and asked them exactly the same question. Why is it you leave? And almost unanimously, the reason those people leave is because they don't feel engaged and they don't feel they've got a clear career path and there's clear development for them. So that makes things kind of difficult for us as an L&D department, if you like, in that we need to make sure that we are engaging with these people, we are offering them the training they need. The other things they're telling us is they don't just want training, they want training when they want it, how they want it, they want to access it on whatever device they're currently using, and they want training that is specific to them. So if we can solve that problem, hopefully we can then retain some of these people and stop them moving on elsewhere. Fortunately today we're working with a company and we're going to take you through a showcase of a company that did exactly that. We've got a case study that Caleb's put together for Compass on how we approached that, how we dealt with that problem, and how we fixed it. So, I think we'll start by identifying what exactly were the challenges you faced.
I think we've got some big challenges in terms of numbers, first of all. So 60,000 permanent colleagues is a big challenge. 15,000 casual workforce is a big challenge. 8 operating companies trying to work in the same direction is also a massive challenge. And that's not for the faint-hearted, and we need to recognise those numbers. The biggest challenge that we're trying to identify is how do we attract people into an anonymous business? How do we keep them, and how do we continue to nurture them? So they're the challenges that were front and centre for this journey, really. Also to document is that, believe it or not, for a FTSE 100 company, we had no robust onboarding process for those people joining our business. Where we did have pockets of best practice, it wasn't being shared across the rest of the businesses. We had no robust mechanism to listen to our colleagues, to understand what they wanted, to what motivated them in the early stages, and really how we can just latch on to all of that to move in the right direction.
So Caleb's identified a number of different challenges there. So I think what normally happens in a situation like that, you've got a learning need. You're very fortunate that you partner with an outstanding e-learning company. So you clearly come to us and say, sort it out for us, write us a piece of e-learning and make it all go away. So is that the first thing that happened?
No. So I think that it was quite clear, actually, that there's obviously something broken and that needed fixing, but actually on a massive scale. And operating in Compass, it's a bit like turning an oil tanker, actually, if you want to try and change something. To get that reaction, the first thing that I did was actually identify how many people are joining Compass, and actually how many are exiting Compass in a 12-month period. And the numbers are quite a telling story, really. So I always remember actually getting that information together, sending the email to the HR director, and actually nothing really happened, and it just sort of bubbled away. And anyone that feels passionate about changing something in an organisation, it gets under your skin a little bit when people don't recognise that. So the first thing I did then was let it go along. Then I thought, actually, let's put some finance behind this. So I got all those information together, and I attributed a notional £2,000 per person to onboard them and then exit. And when you work the figures out, it's a massive figure to just chuck away. I put that financial figure on the spreadsheet, sent it back to the HR director, and within 20 minutes I got a response to say we need to do something about this. Which, unsurprisingly, I sat back and went, yeah, no, Sherlock. I've been saying that for a while, but that's the first point. Get the hook in to what motivates your team, and that was the hook in for me that motivated the exec team to make a decision. I think then moving on from that journey, again, we've got 8 businesses that we tried to get along the same journey. That is not an easy process, but actually lots of engagement, getting the heads of those businesses, the key stakeholders involved in that decision-making process, and enter into a consultative approach where we're listening to them, we're responding to them, we're acting upon their advice, lots of post-it notes, lots of mapping sessions, and really invested a lot of time up front into that negotiation process. I was actually expecting a bit of a bun fight, but when you present the facts and the figures and what they could come out with, then I was quite amazed actually how they joined that journey. But I always remember we had a change in structure, my boss stepping in 6 months into the project and saying, so tell me about this project and show me what you've produced. And we hadn't actually produced anything tangible, but what we had done is got everybody on that journey and got them in the right direction to allow us to step that. And that's an invaluable piece of advice, actually. So much engagement went on to get everyone moving in the same direction. Yeah,
and I think that's kind of key. So what we did there, we were fortunate enough to be involved with Compass throughout that period of time. And I think, in a nutshell, what you've got to get away from is think about what is it we're actually trying to achieve and how we're trying to achieve it. So I'm obviously standing here at a Learning Technologies show. Okay, I'm standing here as someone who works for a learning technologies company, but the first thing we did with Compass is say, can we forget all about the digital bit? What are we actually trying to achieve? What are the outcomes we're looking for? How would we design this? How would we design a solution assuming that digital wasn't an option? And once we had that, we then we had those sort of building blocks in place, if you like, of what we wanted to achieve, what we were going to measure, which we'll come on to shortly with Chris. And then sort of took it back the other way and said, okay, but we do have digital as an option. So what can digital offer us that maybe face-to-face couldn't or traditional learning couldn't? And how can we use that to our advantage? And a lot of that was about how we engage with people and also how we adapted over time. So what this isn't, and what we're going to explain to you in how the process works, what this isn't is one piece of e-learning that we delivered and we said, there you go, tick that box, walk away, and we'll have a look at it again in a few years' time. This is very much a living, breathing project that's very much developing as we go through. And there are numerous facets to it. You know, we're talking about an LMS, we're talking about numerous pieces of learning, we're talking about blended learning as well. And you know, Caleb and I are going to take you through exactly how that works. One of the things that we did do very quickly, Caleb's already said we engaged with the business owners, we engaged with different people within the business, but there's one group of people there that were very much missing for us, and it's our learners. So what did they actually want? What was the problem with what we already had? And more importantly, how can we engage with them and give them what they're after? Caleb, what did we do?
I mean, it's really important actually that we stay true to our philosophy and listen to our stakeholders right from the start. So there was some key pieces of information that they laid out for us as a challenge right from the get-go. First of all, it's got to be really simple. So just tell me what I need to do and then tell me what I can do as an extra after that. And I think that will come through when you see some of the journey. Make it real and believable. So what we've introduced is not only an LMS and onboarding, but a piece of pre-boarding learning. So people do a 20-minute learning session before they even join Compass. And I try and equate that into a sales pitch almost, that we're trying to attract new talent into our organisation. And what's going to make them then convert from a potential candidate to a full-blown colleague. And I'd like to think that our piece of pre-boarding really makes the impact to do that. But it's got to be relevant to them. And the key word that they kept saying to us, it's got to be real. And which is why, you know, we have real life people telling their anecdotal stories about our business as well, because it's got to be believable, not just a sales pitch to try and attract different people into our organisation. The one thing is, just show me what I need to know and don't give me any more, so don't sheep dip us all in this information.
Okay, yeah, so I think one of the key journeys that came up was these people wanted the training that was right for them. So, you know, Caleb's already alluded to the fact that Caleb Compass work with 8 different businesses. So I could be a security guard, I could equally be a chef. So you know what, when I'm a chef, don't show me about how to be a doorman because I really don't want to know. So if you think about the traditional, for want of a better word, idea of an LMS, which is here's dozens and dozens of courses and you do the ones that are relevant to us, what came across quite quickly was I don't need to see any of this stuff. It's actually quite intimidating for me. Certainly on day one, as I come in as a new starter, don't tell me I've got to do 40 courses, just show me what I've got to do today. And we're going to take you through how that works. That all came apart about this idea of being a tailored approach. Now, Caleb's already alluded to this idea that part of the pre-boarding was to make people feel at ease and almost make them feel like they've made the right decision in joining Compass. You know, it's a big step joining a new company, it's a big step moving businesses. And then we looked at what tends to happen. Again, forget about digital for a minute. What tends to happen to make people feel relaxed on their first day at work? And I don't know about you, but back in the day, I used to be buddied up with someone, and it was, here's this guy, he's going to be there, he's been in the same boat as you. If you've got any questions, just ask. If you don't know how to log into something, you don't know where to find your payslip, just ask. Well, of course, that's a lovely idea, but we're working in a digital world. So that wasn't really a blocker for us. We thought, well, okay, how do we get a digital buddy involved? Now, we're quite fortunate in that we don't only produce content for Compass, but we also manage the LMS as well. So we found quite a nice way of introducing, and we'll show you how this looks in a minute. I know I feel like I'm teasing you a bit. we put this nice idea of, okay, let me build my buddy, and let's save that buddy back to the LMS. And you know what, throughout my onboarding process, throughout these 12 weeks of learning, this guy's going to keep coming back every now and again, be a friendly face, be a familiar face, and again, he's there when I need him. So that's Sam. I think we'll call him Sam.
Yeah, we didn't name him until later on in the stage, actually, but we needed a multi-gender name that would meet that bill, really. So again, in this design phase, it was really apparent from the get-go that someone said this is quite an anxious time for people when they move from different companies. They either feel really excited, nervous, apprehensive, all those emotions going around. And I asked the question, what do most people do with that energy then? And generally, you share that concern with your best mate, your mum, your dad, your partner, anyone. And then, it dawned on us, how can we recreate that support mechanism so people feel that Compass will support you right from the get-go and then follow that journey through into your early life of Compass Group and beyond. And that's where the Sam character was born out, really. What I like about Sam is there's an element of gameplay in there as well, so you can decide what Sam character you want, what gender, what colour hair, example, but actually Sam keeps popping back. As you'll see in the video in a little while, I have a bit of a connection with my engineer, Sam. I've no idea, other than I really like the look of him, but he brings a warm glow to my face, and actually that's the emotion that we wanted to achieve with Sam the character, and he keeps popping up in your journey as well.
Okay, so I think we've alluded to there's multiple parts to the journey that we've been on. So we're going to take you through how some of that works now, assuming technology's with us. So we're firstly going to look at what we call My Learning, which is the sort of LMS portal, if you like. And again, not losing sight of what we said, which is I want it as simple as possible. Now, Caleb's already said there that the general feedback from the learners that we spoke to was, do you know what, it's all lovely, but can you just tell me what I need to do today? So keep that in mind when we look at My Learning and see how that works. So assuming that technology is with us, I should be able to play a bit of a video that will show you how My Learning works. Okay, so firstly we're going to log in. Okay, shall I hold it there, Caleb?
Yeah. So when we were doing all this workshop to try and gauge information and feedback, unanimously people were saying, and our colleagues were saying, just tell me what I need to do now, then I can worry about what I can do later. Do you think that's come through on the design? We just gave big button calculator option to our colleagues, what I need to do now. We don't crowd the environment with any other information. You look at some environments and you've got loads and loads of different options, and we just wanted slick, straight, streamlined approach to getting into the site and their content. And for me, this is very much about the experience as well. This isn't just an LMS, this is a whole learning experience.
Yep.
Yeah?
Okay, so very simple one, and as you saw then, it will only show you courses that are relevant to you right now as well. So initially, when you first go in, you may look at literally one piece of learning that you can do, and it's exactly how we wanted that to be. So, you can't even click on this second button because, ultimately it's not relevant right now. So moving on from that then, so we're going to look at the sort of pre-boarding piece, which is exactly what this is. Now this here is my version of Sam. I apologise that it doesn't look like the engineer you wanted. I chose a chef. But again, if I play this video, you'll get the idea. Now, I want you to imagine this is the first time you've been into this piece of learning. Let's play that. So this is Sam. So I can choose whether I'm male or female. I could choose relevant skin tone. In my case, very, very pale indeed. And also, whether I'm going to be a cleaner, whether I'm going to be an engineer. I can see why you like the engineer. Yeah, I can see that. Or whether you're a member of the office staff. Okay, and then we go on. Now, as I said, that is then written back to the LMS. So we might not see Sam for another 3 or 4 weeks as part of our onboarding program. But every now and again, he'll come back, he'll open a piece of learning for me, tell me what I'm going to learn, and at the end of it, he'll also give me some nice sort of feedback and some encouragement to sort of put into action what it is I've learned. The piece over here on the right is what we're going to discuss next. Caleb, so what's that all about?
I'm not going to introduce the next piece to you. I'm going to let the video introduce it. But again, what we didn't want is lots of chalk and talk. So we wanted a light-hearted approach to attracting people into our business, and the end result for them to go, this is the right decision for me. I feel comfortable. I've got all the information I need, and this is the culture I can expect.
Hello and welcome. We could not be more pleased about you joining our team. Now, Compass Group is an exciting business. We operate across a multitude of sectors and in some absolutely amazing venues. Now, I could stand here and tell you all about it, but we thought the best thing to do would be to take you on a journey so you can see and experience it for yourself. I know you're going to enjoy things, so good luck and have a great time. Thank you.
If I could just pause it there for a second. So what you've seen there is obviously some interactive options within the video. Now, I'm going to assume that I'm not going to be a doorman, I'm not going to be a receptionist, I'm actually being hired as someone who works behind the bar. So potentially I want to know a little bit more about that. So as it comes around to that, I can click on here and find out a little bit more information from someone who's actually a barman and actually does that job.
My name is Massimiliano, and I'm the head mixologist of the American Express and Wine Lounge in the O2 Arena, part of the restaurant part of Compass. So this is not a boring job, it's a great job, and you have to have fun in your job. And trust me, you're going to have a lot of fun. The only thing which I really like here is whatever we do is house-made, so from the juices to the syrup to garnishes, so 80% I can say is homemade. Well, me and my team is a family. Without a strong team, just one person cannot succeed. And with my guys, it's a great team. With a bit of my training, all together, we are keep going with this.
And I'm the HR Director for Compass here in the UK and Ireland. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the tour and the opportunity to meet some of the Compass family. I'm really excited that you're joining the team, and I hope it's the start of a brilliant career with us. So enjoy the show.
I mean, that was just the opening video, actually, of that first piece of learning. Really painful to make, actually, having to sit around in the O2 and then being taken out to see Take That at night. Dreadfully painful. But what I really like about that video is Max was cracking. So Max, the barman down at the O2, trying to get a 30-second soundbite from Max is almost impossible because he wanted to talk and talk and talk. But that's what we came through with using the selfie videos, that people had so much positivity to share and say. And actually, whether you like that or dislike what Max is talking about, it was real, it was believable, and that's what I keep going back to. Our philosophy was that's what we wanted to produce.
Yeah. So. Just picking up on the selfie videos idea, I think when you're here in learning and you hear about using video, there's always this idea of it's really expensive and all the rest of it. So one of the things that we wanted to do was, one, to keep it real. We didn't want it set up in a nice studio because it looked very staged, looked very scripted. So we sort of put the call out and, again, working together, and put the call out and said, here's a site, why don't you upload what you like about working in your job? And we were expecting 10, 15, maybe 20 videos back. When we got to 1,200 that we had to edit, we realised it had been relatively successful. So, and it's fair to say there's still people now that are quite devastated that they're not in this launch video because they want to tell their own story. So that's fantastic for Compass. So next piece is, it's fair to say, we've looked at the LMS, we've looked at what they do pre-boarding. So I think what we really need a good understanding of is it all about e-learning, or is there, what do people actually do once they've done their pre-boarding?
So to understand where we've got to, we also need to understand where we've come from. So previous to our Perfect Start onboarding, which is a managed 12-week program that we've got now, before that, everything was important and everything had to be done in week 1 of a colleague's life in Compass, which from a colleague's point of view is actually really overwhelming. So being told you've got to do 50 different things by the end of the week, when actually in week 1 with a new colleague, you're still trying to remember your team's names and actually, whether you like the business or not. So during the workshops, we stripped back to understand what was important, what the learner needed to do. Making this relevant to the learners. So this is a piece of content during that 12-week, happens to be about mobile working. To make it relevant, it's only ever shown to people that are mobile workers. Everyone else, it sits in the background, they don't know it's there, and that's how we tailor and use the power of the LMS to be able to deliver that. Also, when we were creating the Selfie videos, we set the challenge to various people to talk on a subject. We didn't script it, we didn't ask them what we wanted it to come out as, and I think this is an example of the video.
I'm a mobile worker, which I really enjoy, because every site has its own feel, every site has different services, every site has its own challenges, which means every day brings something different.
Again, a short piece, but what I really like about that is actually we just talk about mobile working. That regional manager decided to sit in his car because he thought that'd be the best for everyone, and he told us what he liked about being a mobile worker. And actually it's short, snappy, it gets the information across.
Okay.
Sorry, but I think then that's just a small part. That's the first 12 weeks. Then following on from that, it's about providing opportunities for our colleagues to develop further personal development plans and social learning as well. I think the real important thing is, how do we benchmark that against where we wanted to, what we wanted to achieve right at the start?
Yeah, very much so. So, we've got a great initiative. We identified at the start what our goals were, what we were trying to achieve, which was to improve our sort of turnover figures, if you like, and reduce attrition. But obviously we need a way of being able to measure that, and how do we measure that? How do we prove that it's the training we've done, or the training initiatives we've set up, that's actually stopping those people leaving? Well, we could just say we think it is, and anecdotal feedback's told us it's lovely, and they, the learners like this stuff. But we'll go a little bit more technical than that. So I'd like to introduce Chris, who's going to take us through exactly what we did. You move over there.
Okay. What I hope you've gathered from that is certain qualities within Compass and the relationship with Kineo are very strong. In particular, this session is all about engagement to evaluation. You've seen that engagement in stakeholders is exceptional, 8 different business units. Engagement with learners, not just in the content, 1,200 people try to contribute content, that's fantastic. 11,000 people took part in this program already, so huge levels of engagement. But what about the evaluation? Well, another thing that's exceptional at Compass is the degree to which they evaluate. So, and it all starts with big post-it notes. Who uses post-it notes for brainstorming? They're just, they're just the best. And these are big A5 ones. They're superb. Big felted pens, loads of post-it notes. So it always starts off with create chaos. Everything we can measure, everything we could measure. We whittle that down using scoring systems and matrices and ranking to create something, but everything we should measure. And then you go through further decision making to decide everything we will measure. And then this thorough evaluation process is then turned into a plan that's embedded in the project plan. It happens. This is one of the activities. This happened with the program you've seen. This is one of 3 programs that have been through this journey. The next thing that makes it exceptional isn't the fact that the surveys look funky. The surveys are fine just so long as you ask the right questions. You measure the right things. The thing that makes it exceptional now is the graphs. So evaluation isn't about a process, it's not about surveys, it's about the graphs at the end, the things that you take back to leadership and wow them. This is a very confusing graph at first sight. You need to talk people through it. I'm conscious of time, so I won't talk through it a lot. But what it proves is that the more people engage with this new learning world, the more satisfied they are in general with the learning that they're provided with at the business. And as outlined by the research at the beginning, people's perception of development is the #1 reason why people leave the business. So we can show that this correlates to reducing that factor. So yes, we can take credit for a reduction in attrition because the #1 cause of attrition is being improved by this portal. And this was actually an apprenticeship portal. The next thing is we actually wrote reports. We didn't just do bar graphs and pie charts. This is not enough. We wanted to write up a report in the language of the board members, the senior management. So all the graphs, all the data. This one was a small program compared to what you've seen there, but this is 211 learners were surveyed. 39% of their managers took part in the survey as well. It showed 2 different dimensions, analytics of business performance data, all typed up into funky graphs and into a report with the right narrative and executive summaries. And at the end of those reports is a return on investment. Now, return on investment doesn't mean it's cheaper than it was before. That's investment on investment. The thing that turned this from what would have been a net loss-making activity because it spent money and made it 191% net return on investment was the reduction in what we started with at the beginning, attrition. We could prove through number crunching that there was a relationship between how much people got involved in the program and how likely they were to leave. A bit of number crunching later, and that was 191% net return on investment in year 1 of the program. You can take that back to the business and you can be pretty sure you're going to get the budget signed off for next year. So we're going to take this a step further. It's possible that if you went to senior management and you said, look, £581,000 of savings from reduced attrition, they could question that and say, how can you honestly take credit for that? There might be a discrepancy of a number. So the final stage...
I'll tell you what.
The final thing that we're going through is we're actually showing cause and effect. The thing we're doing with this program here is we're going to actually start analyzing the reasons why people leave and prove that there's a trend. Why do people leave? They get 32 different options, of which induction and learning and development are buried amongst stress and all the other factors. Cultural fit was suggested there, and to see whether learning and development and induction are going down as a cause of attrition. And that's going to be monitored ongoing, and the more learning is thrown at people, the less those things contribute to attrition. And you create that final perfect bulletproof case that, yes, we can genuinely take credit for that return on investment. At which point, I'm going to, because I had to rush that bit, obviously, because I'm acutely conscious of time.
Thank you, Chris.
But I think we've got time for about half a question.
Okay, yeah, so thank you, Chris. Now, obviously, we are running over slightly, which is slightly frustrating. However, we are actually there. So rather than telling you what stand we're on, it's probably easier for me to point. So myself and Caleb and Chris will be going over to the Kineo stand just shortly. So if there are any questions that you would like to ask, want more information around the work we're doing with Compass Group, or speak to Chris about how we can measure some of this stuff, we'd be more than happy to take you through that. But just to summarise what we saw there, so we started with a problem. Compass have got a lot of people and a lot of people are leaving. We then put a solution in place to try and stop that, and that was a combination of, LMS, a combination of learning, a combination of videos and selfie videos, and we built it all together into a lovely package. And then Chris and his team, involved throughout, engaged throughout, can actually prove the real business benefit to Compass of putting in place what they did. So we thank you very much for your time, and as I say, if you'd like to come and ask us some questions, we'll be more than happy to take them. Thank you.